Hey, Bookwormies. So this issue has come up every year like clockwork. Every year, as it rings the bell to the start of the new year, this issue comes up. No matter what is going on in the world, there could be I don't know what's going on. This will always come up, and it's like a ghost on Christmas morning, and that is reading goals. So let's get started. At the end of every year, you know how everybody goes online and is like, oh yeah, I read this many books. I read 10, I read 50, I read 200. Everybody with their own numbers, right? And then there's this thing where there's this read moment where it becomes where reading a lot becomes stops becoming impressive and starts becoming more suspicious, where people are like,
Oh, you read 150 books? Oh, okay. But did you actually read them? Did you just skim them? Do you even know what was going on? Oh, you're speed reading. Oh no, you are unemployed.
it's just saying, it's as if I don't care how much a person reads. They could read 5 books, they could read 200 books, but then going on the internet and being like, oh, you read 200 books, oof. Did you actually read them? Really? I don't think you read them. I think you were skimming it. Book reading is supposed to be something that you take your time, and that it's supposed to be slow and annotated and painful, that's something that now we expect. And also, what's something that's kind of funny, well, not really, but is that we never apply this logic to anything else. Nobody says, oh, you watched so many movies this year. Did you even understand them? No. Reading fast doesn't automatically mean reading it badly. It just means that someone's life and their habits and their time and how fast they regularly read is different from you. I'm what a lot of my friends say. I'm a fast reader. I read very quickly, and maybe I do. I don't know. I don't want to categorize myself under anything because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm a fast reader, and maybe it turns out I'm just average. You never know, and maybe I just have a lot of free time. But going around and being like, oh, you read 150 books. Oh, so you didn't read them. You probably just put them up just so you could say that number. Going around and judging people on reading too many books is it's so stupid. I don't want to go around calling people stupid, but I'm sorry, you just go around on the internet, when somebody says, you scroll into a video and somebody says, yeah, I read 100 books this year, and you maybe read 20, and you're like, oh, so you must have been skimming them, because there's no way you read that much, and that's probably suspicious. It's not impressive that you read that many books, it's suspicious. No, I just hate that. I hate when people go around and just be like, oh yeah, you're lying. No, you don't know my life, so you can't go around and tell me, oh, I probably did not read that many books, And this kind of goes into where people start making assumptions on people's life to justify their number that might be pathetic in some people's minds, it's what annoys me a lot, because when someone reads a lot, some people might explain it in a way that they assume that they have no responsibilities, and they're like, oh, when someone reads less, if you read a lot, then they're like, oh yeah, you probably have no life, you're probably unemployed, you probably do nothing for yourself. But then when they read less, they're like, oh, the number starts getting labeled more sad or pathetic, what is that? And we start inventing entire backstories on people just to make ourselves feel better about our number, right? It's like, oh,
They probably don't go to school. Oh, they're probably unemployed. Oh, they don't have a social life.
but reading is not a competition on who's busiest. It's just a hobby. It's something where you can go and escape reality and just enjoy yourself. And your life circumstances, where you're in life, don't need to justify your amount and how much you read, And it's kind of a great example of this situation is a video that this girl made on TikTok in December, I think probably that was, yeah. And she just went out of her way and saying that, and pretty much called people out and said, oh yeah, they probably read that many books because they're unemployed or they live on somebody else's paycheck. And I stared at the video, and so many people clipped that video and reply to it, and they're like, you're wrong. And I'm so happy that people are getting together, because what do you mean, oh yeah, now reading too much is bad? There was this one girl, I don't know who it was, that video came up a long time ago for me, but she just went off, and she was like, after she saw that video, she was like, she took all of the hours in a year that you get, she cut it out by 9 to 5s, okay? She took how many hours you'd probably be working if you're working a 9 to 5, took that out of the time, and then took out, oh, how much time you probably need for sleeping, eating, normal life circumstances, and then also, let's say you have a social life and you do this. And she showed that there were a lot of hours, I don't know how much was left, but a bunch of hours were left And like, if you really wanted to, you could read 100 plus books. If you really wanted to, you could have a social life. You could have school, uni, a job. You could have kids. You could have a bunch of different things going on in your life, and you could still read 100 plus books. There was a mom that commented and said, "Oh yeah, I'm a new mom, and I read 100 books this year. I also have a social life." So like, what the fuck? Where are you going about and being like, oh yeah, you probably are just unemployed, do nothing for your life, and that's why you read this much. That's what I hate. Like, there's always the issue of like, oh, you're not reading enough. Like, your number's so sad and pathetic. But then now, this year, I'm seeing more people being like, oh, you're reading too much. You probably just don't have a life. Where are we getting that from? Where are we going about and being like, oh, you don't have a life? Like, I will never get that. I will never understand that. For half of this year, my school was a 9 to 5. Like, started at 9 o'clock, ended at 5, So, as if I was on a job. And then I also had homework, studying, all of that. And then I still had a social life. The second half of the year, also. Different school, different bit timeline, but still, I was there for most of the day. I was spending a bunch of hours in school, and then I also was studying, and I also have a bunch of other hobbies, and I have a social life. And I still managed to read 179 books. I memorized number just for this talk. Yes, I did. Like, I don't get that. I don't get it at all. Why we would go about and being like, oh, you probably just read this much because you do nothing for your life. Why don't you look at your own life? Maybe why you're not reading that much is because you waste your time scrolling. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to judge others, but I'm serious. Like, I don't like it when people go about and just judge you without knowing anything about what's in your life. Like, it doesn't make sense. If you really want to read more and read as much as maybe somebody that reads 100 plus books, put your phone down, lock it away, put away your electronics, and pick up a book and read it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I just hate, like, it's also just, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, you read so many books, wow, and then making assumptions on their life from it. I just never understand that. I could go on a whole rant about this because it just annoys the fuck out of me. Like, I read a bunch of comments from that video where people were like, okay, I'm a new mom, or they were like, I am in uni studying a bunch of hours and a bunch of things, and I have a social life. Like, everybody says, like, we have a bunch going on in our life, but we still manage to read that much. So maybe you should go look at what you're doing in your free time, because that just annoyed me so fucking much. I just hated that video. I kept on seeing everybody clipping it, and then I went and watched the original video, and I was just like, okay, wow. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this year, like at the end of 2025, the issue wasn't, oh, you read such a small amount of books, you only read like 10. And this year was more so, oh, you read so much. And so yeah, I need to move on, or else we are going to be talking about this forever and ever and ever, and that is not possible for me at this point. Anyways, let's talk about the next thing, which is comparing numbers instead of experiences or 5 stars. Like, at some point, the conversation stops being about, like, what did you love, and becomes, how much did you read? And I feel like that's such a downgrade. It's like, I'd rather hear somebody talk for, like, an hour about a book that they read that changed their life than them list 80 titles that they can barely remember. But, culture, our reading culture now rewards numbers, not the impact that it has on us, right? We start valuing a higher Goodreads reading goal over genuine 5-star reads. And I feel like it's because I feel like it's this way because in our culture we have normalized just reading a bunch of books, and that's how we compartmentalize ourselves. It's just now just being like this. I feel like it's been like this for a while, and I feel like it also sort of affects me. Like, a lot of times when I get stuck in a book where I can't get through, I'm like, no, I have to get through it because I need to read a lot more. I need to read more books. I feel like I don't know. I feel like all these goals, they're forcing us to reach for the number rather than the 5 stars or the books that will make us feel something deeply. I don't know. That's just how I feel about this. It's just so, I don't know. It's so icky. I don't like it. It's just, I'd rather go around spending a video where I talk about a favorite book than read 20 and say a sentence about them because I can barely remember them. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Then, this kind of ties into this, but turning reading into a means to an end rather than an enjoyable hobby. Like, when reading goals start to get intense, reading stops feeling like something that you want to do and starts becoming like a chore, something that you have to do, something that you have to do to reach a goal. And like, you stop reading because you're excited, and you start to read because you don't want the graph to look bad, and books turn into tasks, and pages turn into numbers, books turn into numbers, and suddenly this thing that's supposed to be like, oh, I want to escape reality, I want to turn this in, this is such a comfort for me, it starts turning into homework that you assigned yourself because you want to get to a certain number. And I feel like in 2025, I felt this so badly, especially towards the second half of the year. I was just like, I was reading it just to get a higher number of reads. I just couldn't get myself to enjoy the books as much. And this year, that's one of my goals, to read for the enjoyment, not only for the numbers. Even though I'm still feeling the toxicity as I'm like reading, all I'm thinking is, I need to get through this book faster because I need to start something new. I feel like especially for me, I don't know if this is for others, maybe others are better at just taking their time and not looking at the number and just having this whole thing. But for me, in my head, I've always had this thing where I look at the number of reads I read this year and I'm like, wait, but I only have now like 320 something days, I don't know, I'm just making this up, to read this many books, because this is what my internal goal is. Like, I put on Goodreads, I put this year 125 books, but mentally I'm like, how can I get as close as I can to last year's goal? Like, I don't know. My brain is just starting to make it feel like a chore, and this is why I kind of want to really get back into reading, because last year was a good reading year. I'm not saying 2025 was a bad reading year, but I had moments where I was just not feeling well, where like the reading slump came in because I was forcing myself to read books I didn't want to. I was forcing myself to get through books that I didn't really want to read. There was just this whole thing about it, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, but this is how I felt. Now, lastly, we have the DNF shame. I don't know if other people feel it, but I wanted to talk about it still. And it's pretty much where like you feel stuck in a book you hate, and you're only continuing to read it because quitting would ruin the stats. Now, there's nothing more humbling than being 47% into a book you hate and thinking, I can't quit now because I'll mess up my numbers, because I need to finish the book. I can't just DNF it whenever I want to. And I feel like that is not suffering. That is just suffering with a bookmark. That is going through the book so slowly because you just don't want to DNF it. And I feel like also DNFing has been villainized, I feel like, because it doesn't look good statistically, or because that just means you didn't actually read the book. And it's just like, but forcing yourself through a book you're not enjoying doesn't make you a better reader. It just makes you resent reading altogether. And I feel like that happened for me in 2025 too, where I finished books I really did not want to. I wanted to DNF them so badly. But the only reason I didn't was because I was like, no, I have to finish this book, or else it'll just be thought of as something I never finished, you know. I try now to take my time more and, you know, give myself grace. If I want to DNF a book, I will DNF it. That's my plan for this year. This year, I have so many goals, but my main ones are just to enjoy reading, and that if I want to DNF a book, I'm not going to get the DNF shame. I'm going to DNF it. I'm just going to go and put that book aside. I'm not going to continue reading just because I feel like I need to finish the book. I'm not going to do that this year. This is something that I want to stop doing. I want to stop feeling that toxicity where I feel like I have to finish the book. I just don't want that anymore. I don't want that. And that's kind of like, I know that towards the end now we started talking a bit more about, like, less about the reading goals and more about that, but whatever. Anyways, this is what I mainly wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed today's rant. I don't even know how long this rant was. I don't think it was very long. But I hope you enjoyed it, and comment down below your guys' on reading goals, because for me, they just feel like they just come up every year. Every year, it's the same problems where people are like, oh, you read so many books, you're not reading. Or you read so little books, you probably were doom scrolling. You know, I hate that assumptions thing. That's the worst thing I feel like about reading nowadays, is that now we just assume that if somebody's reading this many books, oh, they're doing it because they're unemployed, or they're only reading like 5 books because they doom scrolled all their life. Like, you know, I just don't like that. I never liked this whole assumptions thing. Like, you do what you want, but I'm happy for you whether you read 1 book or 200 books. I could not care less, but I'm happy for you either way. The number does not matter. If maybe that 1 book that you read this year, it could have been like the greatest book in your life. You never know. So like, I feel like we shouldn't go judging people that much. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's rant. As I said again, comment down below your thoughts on reading goals. And comment down below too what other podcast videos you guys would like to see, because I'm enjoying these. These are fun video that are fun to like quickly whip up, but also I just love talking to you guys, so I can just yap about whatever I want. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!